Hi guys, I'm going to flip back and forth with the TV. Hold on a second. So, my name is Sanz. I started Geeklist about 1.5 years ago. The reason why I started Geeklist was mainly because I felt like the developer community was extremely underserved. There wasn't a place where I could go and just find all developers, or connect with other developers, or join communities, and things like that. I felt like a lot of the services out there were mainly focused on putting you in the back seat and not us in the front seat telling you what we wanted. So since we launched last year, we have over 50,000 users. A lot of people from VCs and people I work for, when the first 3 months, they were like, no, this is not going to work. Developers don't want that. And these were mostly non-developers, but every single developer that I talked to, they were like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is great. This is for us. So through the 3-month period, the first 3 months, and I remember pinging Isaacs, and he was like, he had a gist, and I put that up on the homepage. That was the first thing I put up, and he updated his code, and it says, welcome Geeklist users, or whatever. But it was so cool that, you know, I was getting all this support from the developer community, but I wasn't getting a lot of support from investors and people who are like on the business side. And those were the people who are actually going to put money into this. So I was trying to convince everybody, and I decided to, okay, screw it. Let me just launch something really quick. And I launched something that's called Reserve Your Name, and it just took off. People were passing it around, reserving their names, and for some reason, people love having their own names on their social networks. So it was a trick. I stopped building the entire app, and I just dedicated like 1.5 weeks of building this little social network. So I launched, and quickly we started getting a lot of users, and people from Google, Facebook, they came into Geeklist to claim their achievements. Boz, the guy, one of the early engineers from Facebook, he came in and he said, I created a news feed. I have no idea that he was the one who created the news feed. I didn't have time to actually put it up, but you know, we have people like Katie. She works for the Halo team. And I'm a big fan of Gears of War. How many of you play Gears of War? I'm a huge fan. So when a new release comes out, I'm gone for like many days. You know, I don't even shower. It's really bad. So I was part of so she said I was part of the team that shipped Gears of War. I was so excited when that happened, and then so were a couple of the team members. So they reached out to her, hey, you know, tell us about how you built it and all that stuff. It was really cool. So we're giving people a chance to connect with people that are building really cool stuff that you may want to do at some point. We're breaking that sort of wall. So a little bit more about me. So going back maybe like 10 to 12 years, I started coding at Disney. Well, a little bit before that, but I spent most of my software engineering days at Disney. I wasn't the Mickey Mouse at the parks. I get that joke a lot, and I got really good at fake laughing about it. But I was the software engineer at Disney. I helped build a lot of the subscription products. I worked for a team called Disney's Blast, and we're basically building software that make kids ask their parents to use their credit card and pay for stuff. You know, that was basically our goal. And the ultimate goal for the parents was that we built things that parents could actually use so that they can do other stuff, like a virtual babysitter, basically, which is also not a good thing. You can find me on Twitter and Geeklist with the handle Sanz. I've spent 15 to 14 years coding. The last 6 years, I've been a CTO. Leading teams, building teams. The biggest challenge I've had was Break.com when I built the service, grew it from 0 to getting about 20 terabytes of video bandwidth a day. It was crazy. It was worldwide. It just grew really fast, and I went from building a couple of servers to having 500 servers, 1,000 servers in just 3-4 months. It was right around the time when YouTube took off as well. I learned a lot through that process, and one of the things that I wasn't exposed to was hiring people, managing developers. So I've always had a very different approach when I manage people. I'm at the same level as you, basically. And I've been like that since I was a software engineer. I did really well at Disney, but I've always been like, you work well when you work with other people that talk to you at the same level. And that's basically what I use at Break.com. The problem, though, is that when I was at Break.com, I couldn't find anybody that would want to go work for Break.com. It was literally impossible to go find a place where you can actually see, okay, where can I find all these developers? Where can I connect with them? So I learned a lot about, talking to recruiters. I learned a lot about reading resumes. Most of us are really bad at writing resumes. Even guys who are super good, have really great experience, they write like 4-page resumes that no one reads. I remember interviewing this guy who had an amazing background, but he wrote this like really awfully boring 4-page resume, and at the very end he puts like a real achievement. And I'm like, why did you put that at the end? Move that to the front. And because all the other stuff was just a lot of words. So I decided that I wanted to fix this. I wanted to figure out, and Geekless today is just a company, right? But what we're about is sort of like a movement. We need to figure out how to make it easier for us to connect with companies, to connect with communities. And who knows if what we're doing today is the right approach, but we're constantly thinking about it. That's what we're thinking about every single day. And I want to go into also something that I'm always thinking about and take a step back and looking at the entire industry. And why we're doing it, why we're doing this thing. Because I feel today there's like millions and millions of developers who are going into the industry, whether you are not a developer and you're switching careers and you're going to becoming a developer, whether you're learning, whether you're a kid in high school who's doing side jobs as a programmer. Just last week, 2 weeks ago actually, I met a iOS developer, super talented. I never met her before in person. And when I met her, I was like, how old are you? I just dropped out of high school. I just couldn't believe it. And people are not only skipping through university, they're skipping through high school these days because we have this high demand of developers. So we have this millions and millions of developers, and no one's connecting them with these millions, even bigger amounts of companies and services who want to get access and direct connection with developers. So why? So current situation. So I said, why? So current situation. We have companies everywhere looking for developers. We have builders, creators, designers spawning out of everywhere. Like every single company today, you'll have someone who has an idea to build something. You talk to anybody. You walk down the street and you have someone saying, oh, I should probably build an app for that or something like that. Everyone has an idea. This didn't happen before. So now we have this huge wave of people coming up with this awesome ways of innovating things. But we have no way to connect them with the actual companies. So we have, I think, in my opinion, we're going through sort of like a revolution. We have, similar to what happened many years ago when we went through the revolution, the Industrial Revolution, we're having all of these developers, all of these people coming into society and wanting to fix all the inefficiencies that we've had for the past 30 years. Every single thing that we do, like Amazon, every single service out there is trying to fix inefficiencies. We haven't been able to see those inefficiencies before because we weren't trained. Today we have more and more people who are technical, who have more experience, who are well-versed with the internet, well-versed with social media, well-versed with social networks, and it's so clear to us all these inefficiencies that are out there. So that's why so many people are wanting to build stuff. Having all of these inefficiencies opens up opportunities. This is very similar to what happened with Node, I believe. Ryan Dahl saw an inefficiency with the way people were handling servers and how they were treating threads and how they were treating processes. And he saw an opportunity. People are seeing those opportunities across the board in multiple different fields. So what is happening now? We have this huge wave of not only that people are seeing these opportunities and they're seeing this vision, these inefficiencies. So now are we jumping into a revolution? This is what I believe is happening today, where we're trying to figure out how do we move as fast as we want to move. And how, part of it has to do with how do we connect people with companies, how do we connect people with, how do we build things faster. And I think Node has a lot to do with this new revolution, because Node makes it simpler. And in my opinion, we're not doing enough. But for me, when I look at Node for me is a start of a new way of thinking. It's not just a platform. For me, Node is a little bit more than that. For me, Node is a new way of thinking. And I'm not kidding. When I code in Node, I actually get really happy. I'm really excited when I'm actually going in and coding Node. I don't know if you guys experience the same thing. Especially if you've been through the process of, I've been a Java developer, I've done Ruby, I've done a lot of stuff. I don't experience the same thing when I do it with Node, and it's just JavaScript. It's super simple. So it makes me wonder. So I step back and I say, why is it do I feel that feeling? And it makes it easier for me. And then I look around and I see Substack, generating hundreds of libraries. You're not going to do that if you're unhappy, right? Who are the enablers in the community? That's another thing that I like to put in perspective. Like I look back and I say, who is enabling us, or who is enabling Node to become so popular? Because it's not happening on its own. It's not happening on its own. People like Ken, right? Creating events, spreading the word, taking a huge risk of putting up an event and having be a complete failure or being a complete success. Same with Node.js. That was a huge risk. Ryan could have been ridiculed, which he has been by other technologies, by other technology leaders, but he took the risk. He's like, I'm going to put it out there because he feels that this is the right way to do things. And that's the thinking that goes back to the other stuff, like the opportunities, the inefficiencies. That goes across all the other fields. And I think that's the method of thinking that Ryan had when he created Node. Now, other enablers are the open source developers. We have an army, like literally Node.js has an army of really highly skilled open source developers who are slapping everyone in the face with awesome software. It's incredible. We have very passionate organizers. We have podcasters. I wasn't listening to a podcast in years until NodeUp came out. I was like, wow, I haven't really touched. When they first heard that, I was like, oh man, that's so old school. I'm probably not gonna do it. But it's so interesting because it talks are mostly about how to keep things simple. And you see them argue, it's always about how to keep things simple. And I don't know if people see this, but it's really interesting to look at it from the outside. So, organizer, podcaster, people who are actually uniting the community are the enablers. The other enablers of Node.js are the people who are creating products. I feel that we're enablers because we're using Node.js. We believe in Node.js. It's not just because I could have built Geeklist with anything else. I could have built it with something that I knew already. But I decided because I felt like I believed in it. It was much bigger than just selecting a technology. So I picked Node.js, I built it, and people who are building products with Node.js are also enablers, like Storify, Voxer, all these companies, they're products being built using Node.js. Now we have big companies, LinkedIn, using Node.js. So you, by building those products, are taking a risk, and you're telling the world that you can actually do things simpler. The other enablers are the software engineers who come to these events, you guys, whether you're a Node.js developer or not, and you go back to your companies and tell the story of how simple it is to build Node.js apps, you know. But we can make things even better. I think that we're going through this revolution, and I think part of this revolution is us arguing with each other, right? But I think that we can at sometimes put things aside and give each other a virtual hug, basically. Because I think if we collaborate and work together, I think we can go even farther and much faster. We'll get to whatever we're going to get, you know. But I think if we actually take the initiative of assuming that everyone has good intentions before assuming that someone has bad intentions, is better for us as a community. I spent a lot of time looking at different leaders in terms of coders, like open source developers. And the common trend, again, is simplicity. I talked to Max a couple of days ago about, you know, how complex certain things are. The entire theme of our conversation was how to make something more easier to read. And it's the common trend between us when we talk about things is simplicity. And this is not just in Node.js. This is happening everywhere. Like, this is happening with product building. When we build products, we're actually thinking the same way. So Node.js is pairing itself with how the rest of the world is thinking in this new age, this new revolution that's moving much faster. People like Substack, right? He's written a lot of libraries, and he's very vocal about keeping applications super small. And I see that as an example of someone not just preaching about what you should be doing, but he's also slapping you in the face by creating thousands of libraries that you need to use that are super simple. I really admire, and I think that's the approach you need to take when you want to prove a point and you do it yourself. So I always wonder as well, I had talks with Michael about it as well. It's like, what is the future? We're moving so fast. Node is moving so fast. Now we have Node copters. Felix, great job putting that together and getting people excited. Everyone in the world wants to have a Node copter event now. But where are we going with this? Like, we're getting so excited, and it's becoming so much easier to build software and to build stuff. Like, we love building stuff, and it's no longer a pain in the ass to build them. So is this wave going to lead us to, like, I don't know, building the space shuttle using Node.js? Who knows? But I feel that we're moving so fast, who knows where we're going to end up, right? So my last question is, of all the people in the audience, whether you're building a product, whether you're building a library, you know, one of the talks, someone said something very smart. He said, don't build a library unless you're using it in your product. I forgot his name, but someone said that, and it just makes so much sense. It is awesome to have a ton of libraries in our system because in our npm repository, but it is even cooler if we have a lot of those being extremely useful, right? And I say this because I'm the user of your libraries. I've come across so many bad libraries that has the latest because we have to go rewrite it ourselves. Or you're not maintaining it, or, you know, like Charles said, he's like, if you're going to have a library, treat it like a kid, right? It's your own baby. So my question is, what are you going to be building? Like, when we come back next year, what are you going to be demoing? What sort of libraries, what sort of products are you going to be showing the world and showing everybody else using Node? That's it. Thank you.